Good evening and welcome in everybody on this beautiful Monday night here on Monday Night Quarterback with the coaches on BAMA Football on YouTube. You have myself, this panel, the great panel, the all-star panel, myself, Coach Smook. We have Coach Jay here to my side, and to down below us we have Coach Sean. Man, everybody's here tonight. It's been about a week since we've all been on the set together. So I'm excited. You all know I'm excited. Coach Jay, how you feeling tonight, brother?
I'm feeling all right, man. Just trying to once again sink in the win against Mississippi State, and now just focused on A&M.
Man, I look. He got that focus look on his face. I'm ready. I'm ready tonight, brother. What's going on, Coach Sean?
What's up with you, bro? How y'all doing, man? I missed you guys last week, man. I had my alma mater homecoming, man. I was involved in a lot of activities, had a lot of family in town, so I couldn't make it, man. But I'm back, happy to be back with you guys.
Man, I was jealous. That's why I ain't replying when you sent all them pictures, man. That's I missed that. They don't have that up here in Virginia. They HBCU style is different, man.
Right.
And down south, we know how to mix our younger and older crowd a little bit better these last 5 or 6 years, especially after COVID. I see that when we was able to do a lot of HBCU stuff after COVID, it got a lot better. So I was a little jealous, but
I try to keep you in the loop.
You know it, man. You know it, man. But you all know we're here tonight to discuss this great, solid statement making victory, SEC road victory, night game, in probably one of the most hostile environments, one of the top 4 hostile environments in the SEC football. When you talk about crowd noise and tradition, and just never knowing which type of Mississippi State team traditionally is going to show up when they play against Alabama. So it was good to come out of that game with the win. Initial reactions, guys. Coach Jay, take it away, man.
No, like how I talked about on Saturday, I thought it was a great win for us. Definitely thought it was the best one for the program. I thought we played a really, really excellent game. Again, offensive line start off sloppy in a couple of drives. Miller had onto the ball in a few of those drives, but overall wise, you got to like the dominance that we displayed up front. Jalen Miro didn't make too many mistakes. Didn't make any too many costly mistakes. I know people will be complaining that he takes too many sacks, and I understand that from that aspect. But like I said before, I would rather him take the sack because that's something he can grow from compared to just throwing the reckless interceptions. Again, I'm seeing progression. I'm seeing progression from the run game. I'm seeing progression overall from the defense. And, inside linebackers, for the most part, you can make an argument, was kind of the weakest link of this team. And that's kind of saying something because these linebackers were flying all over the football field. And yes, they made some costly mistakes as far as angle pursuit and just being out of position, but they also made some great plays as far as forcing turnovers and affecting in how they were in the run game and when it came to the pass rush game, because it allowed our other interior defensive linemen to make plays as far as winning their potential matchups. That was because of our inside linebackers and how they were just rushing them pretty much all throughout the entire field. So I loved it. I loved it. Me personally, it's not, just ask Georgia, what it takes to kind of go on the road and, in a hostile environment and to barely win, so it's very, very tough every single week in SEC play. And Alabama pulled out arguably their best performance so far. So that's why I'm saying, and I'm excited for the A&M game. And, hopefully this team can continue to progress and get better in the, throughout, pretty much on and off the football field.
For sure, man. And before I pass to you, Coach Sean, question from a super chat from Jarrell Franklin. Hopefully I said your first name right. Question: Do y'all think we need to worry about our good young receivers transferring next year due to lack of opportunities in the offense? If you all don't mind, panel, let's save that. I'm going to start it. We're going to keep that one to the side because that is part of the topics we're going to address when we talk about the offensive side. So, Jarrell Franklin, we thank you for the super chat, man, the $4.99 super chat. We definitely appreciate you, man. But, yes, we're definitely going to get to your question because that's something we were going to highlight anyways. But, Coach Sean, final reactions and thoughts on this Alabama-Mississippi State game before we get into the particulars and break this thing down.
Before I say, shout out to TRV, Preneur Sports Podcast. That's home team right there. Great podcast, great guy, great Bama fan. Shout out to you, brother. For me, man, I'm satisfied. I had talked with Kyle about it as well. If I gotta stress, I'm satisfied with how we played against this team. I'm satisfied with how the offensive line played as a whole against this team. I'm satisfied with the win. I'm satisfied that our defense created turnovers. I'm satisfied with the whole thing. Our special teams are absolutely awesome. Will Reichert and Burnip, they rock. I'm ecstatic for those guys. I'm satisfied for the win totally against this team. Like it's like Coach Jay said, a few little small areas, a few little small things that broke down as to be expected. But defensively, scoring points the first half. Uh, I'm probably more ecstatic about Caden Proctor. We gave that young man a hard time. That young man has progressed. I see a lot of different fundamentals within him. He's getting better as all three of us said he would. We try to tell the panel, give him time. Left tackle is extremely hard to play for a senior, much less an 18-year-old kid from Iowa. You know what I mean? So I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with our play against this team.
Right. And I'm gonna piggyback right off you guys for my final reaction. Guys, this team did exactly what we set high expectations for this team, and this team came in and they put high expectations on themselves. They got off to a slow start. You got to understand, we were working in, even though Kevin Steele has been here in the past, a new defensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator, a lot of young guys in key positions. Deontay Lawson's first year as the true starter at inside linebacker, making play calls, figuring out what he was comfortable with and how the signal calling was going to go from sideline to the field. Offensively, a new quarterback, young quarterback, even though Milroe played in some key games last year, still hadn't had a lot of game reps. And, he was tested early, put in situations that tested his growth. And we tried a process, and the process, we had to go back to basics. And that's what I saw from this team. We didn't score on the first two drives. That was the first two drives we didn't score. Saban turned on the switch. And then things just begin to change. Guys begin to fly around on both sides of the ball. The trenches became disruptive. The offensive line had a consistent push throughout the whole game. 4 negative run plays out of the whole game. 3 sacks. I think 4 sacks. Three of them were for sure forced by Jalen Milroe. One he could have threw away. And then the one that 6-man beat 5-man protection. You live with that sometimes. You gamble with that sometimes. So we could live with that and kind of die with those things and expect this team to grow. The type of improvement and progression that they're showing week to week, quarter to quarter, especially this game, I saw growth drive to drive. Last game I was giving them props about quarter to quarter. Drive to drive, I saw defensive adjustments and things of that nature. We're going to dive into those things. But like I said, the mentality of this team changed after a moment. And that moment was when Coach Saban became old school coach, mean Coach Saban again. And who do we have to thank for that? Coach Saban himself gave us the secret to the answer. Miss Terry, she's the MVP. She told Coach Saban, if they're not playing right, you got to chew their tails. That's basically what she said. So, Coach Sean, man, your reaction to Coach Saban and that staff and how fiery they were, man. What's your insight on it, and how do you feel that affected the team?
I was ecstatic to see it. I enjoyed seeing the old Coach Saban come out of his shell. I don't know if he got enough energy to keep doing it like that, because it seems to me that when things are going well is when he blows up. It almost seems when we're doing bad, like when we have really bad games and doing bad as far as the end of the Texas A&M game or the entire USF game, seems like then he's more mellow and more loving of the team. But it seems like when we start doing well, that's when he gets in them. Because I know he got on Terry on one time. I didn't understand why on that play. I didn't understand why, but I was ecstatic to see it. If Miss Terry is telling him to do that and it helped our team, I think Miss Terry need to put a little bit of that sauce for the rest of the season, especially these next 3-4 games.
Right. We were getting right into that gauntlet. The beginning of that gauntlet, that stretch, early October stretch. So definitely Miss Terry need to be on the sideline. Mm-hmm. Coach Jay, your reaction to those statements by Coach Saban and everybody reacting to Coach Saban being mean again.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I think Nick Saban has some high blood pressure, and I think Miss Terry was on that for a little bit. I think that's why he wasn't yelling. And I think finally Miss Terry said, you know what, the blood pressure is going to continue to rise if he's not yelling, so I might as well just release the beast. It's really, really good to see. Everybody got it. Malik Benson got it. Terran Arnold got it. You saw some other players on the sideline. Some linemen got it. Both our coaches, Kevin Steele and Tommy Reese, got it in the booth. They both got it. So Nick Saban was trying to hold everybody accountable. I think that for the most part, it's good to see that back. We haven't honestly, we haven't seen that in a while. Will this continue up? Hopefully so. But just a quick glimpse of Nick Saban, who's going to be 72 years of age. It's kind of good to see that he still has something left in the tank, and that he can try to give that extra spark, hopefully, to his team and challenge his team to become better. And I think they definitely kind of lived up to that. So hopefully, again, we can get that for next week, because next week, this week, because this week is going to be a very difficult environment, and we're definitely going to need it, every bit of it.
Yep. And just to coincide with you guys, man, I think it was a psychological thing that I continue to highlight with Coach Saban and how he's been running this organization since he stepped into Tuscaloosa. He's always had an advantage in the psychological aspect of the game, and whether that's on the field or off the field. And when he's had somebody that could match him on that aspect on the game field, we've seen the results of those games. We've seen the struggles and his inability to get the reaction from players and his staff. I saw more reaction from his staff this game than I saw from the players. I feel like the players were already dialed in with the right type of aggression and energy coming into this game. I think that staff had a little bit more fire up under them this game, because I saw a lot more player coach interaction coming off the field, not on off the field, but coming off the field this game. I saw a lot of coaches meeting players at the sidelines, coaching them up. And you highlighted some, Coach Sean, the coach with Coach Saban and Terry and Arnold. People were confused because that play where they scored, we were trying to figure out how that was Terrion's fault, But you go a little bit in depth and you go back a few plays, you see where Terrion was in the midst of trying to communicate a call and was not in phase with the receiver and could have gave up a big play earlier in that drive. And Coach Saban, he felt like that was the spark Terrion needed in order to be prepared, because if he saw it on film, that means the other offensive coordinator might have saw it too. And that might be something. If we give them this motion again, he might be trying to make this call, and we might catch him trying to make this call and catch him slipping, get an early snap, quick shot over top. And so small things like that I can appreciate from this team in this game and that type of performance. Now, to slide into just what I was talking about, this defense, guys. We can talk about the stats. We can say, they gave up 150 yards rushing. They only gave up 140 some or 120 some yards passing or something like that. It wasn't a lot, but we can't do that against A&M, this, that, and the third. Has the defense arrived? Coaches, my brothers, have the defense arrived? And once you give your opinion on that, let's dive into those different levels of the defense. Let's start with the defensive line. Coach Jay, has the defense arrived? And give your assessment of the defensive line, not just this season, but this game in particular. How do you assess their performance? You're muted, brother. You're muted.
All right, sorry about that. That's the auto mute. But no, the last couple of games, they've certainly arrived. They certainly got a lot better. Not just from a defensive rush standpoint, but from an interior pass rushing standpoint, they've gone a lot better the last couple of games. I'm not going to sit up here and say that they're now moving forward, this is how it's going to be. I think I need to see a little more consistency on that aspect. I think the same thing when it comes to our edge rushers. I'm not going to sit up here and say that Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell are surely back. Now we're just going to dominate. I'm not going to sit up here and say that. I will say our secondary's back. I will say that. I think the secondary's back, and our inside linebackers, as far as athleticism, and just aggression, I think that is back. I think that's been pretty much consistent from day one. Just got to see a little tad bit more, especially against teams that can definitely run the football. A&M has probably much more improved offensive line that has the capabilities of running the football. You take a look at a team like potentially in Auburn, like what they was able to do against Georgia, how they were able to kind of control the run game. There's not, thankfully for us, there's not going to be a lot of teams. Well, maybe not thankfully, but there's not going to be a lot of teams that could successfully run the football effectively and efficiently as what Texas has been able to do. That's why I think in a way Texas was a great test for us. But I just want to see a tad bit more consistency from this interior defensive line. I will say though, Tim Keenan is impressing me for the entirety of the season. I think he's definitely stepping up, and he's contributing to a major role. I think you're starting to see some other players that are affected by his rise to play. And like Latham, like what you're seeing from Latham, Timothy Smith, I think his game has improved a little bit more. I think Jaheim Otis is starting to find his rhythm.
Yes.
But overall wise, I just got to see a tad more consistency from this defensive line. But the secondary and linebackers wise, that is back. I have no doubts about it. But we're getting there, and I think that's we're taking it one step at a time. We're trying to implement that philosophy, and it's now it's starting to seem to work. So I just tad bit more, and I think that we can arrive in that conclusion pretty soon.
Right, and to highlight a few key things you said, Tim Keenan. We got onto this guy for his motor early in the season when he was getting opportunities. I think he's in game shape now. Guys usually come. It takes probably maybe two middle of that third game for you to finally start getting to game shape. And the game where we were giving him problems was giving him the most problems was the snaps he played against Texas. And we got to remember how many snaps that defense played against Texas. And I went back and I looked. Keenan, I think, played like 30-some, 40-some snaps. He hasn't never seen the field that much. So I think he probably, the nerves were there. That all those small factors play into fatigue and things of that nature. So to see his improvement on the weekly is great. And that defensive line, that rotation is deep. But the flexibility to have Otis at defensive end right now, we questioned it early, but now we see why they are able to do that with Tim Keenan the way he's playing. Coach Sean, we highlighted another group earlier, the linebacker core, somebody that we were a group that we were very, very critical of all last season as a fan base. But I know me and you for sure, we're very critical of this inside linebacker core. Give me your assessment of the whole the inside linebackers and the edge rushers, outside linebackers, and everything that they were able to contribute in this win against Mississippi State and what you could see from them going forward.
I think the linebacker core as a whole has been consistent. I do. I told Cal the other day, I'm not even mad at the mistakes that I saw that they made. Sort of out of position on a few plays, playing the wrong leverage at a few times. All coachable things. Very coachable things. So I'm not even mad about that because even when these guys made a mistake, it was full speed. Mm-hmm. When Jahad Campbell made a mistake, it was full speed. I highlighted a play when Mississippi State took Will Rogers out and put that Mike Wright kid in. I think it was their first touchdown. And they ran an inside zone, like a zone read play back toward the boundary. But he cut it up in like maybe the one hole maybe. And dude just walked in. I don't know if Jahad was supposed to pick that tight end up that was coming across the formation, or I don't know if the read was the quarterback. I don't know, but he went full speed and leveled the guy that he blocked. So I'm not even mad at him about that because those are coachable things. As far as the linebackers as a whole, I think the linebackers has played about as well as possible considering. I was down on Dallas a few times. He turned it on. Chris Braswell turned it on. Our inside linebackers, no matter who's been out there, even when Trez come off the field, even when Deontay Lawson came off the field, even you didn't have no drop off. You didn't have no drop off with 30. You didn't have no drop off with 40. I mean, all these guys can play, man. The middle linebacker core is the least of my worries. You know what I mean? I worry about the front four, front three before I worried about those guys. I think playing Texas A&M and the type of offense they run, especially now that Max Johnson is their quarterback, our middle linebackers could really, really, really be a strong point going into this game.
Right. And Coach Sean, you said something key about the depth we have at the inside linebacker. Everybody knew what we had at the outside linebacker. And one guy, young guy that we were curious to see and ready to see possibly get snaps this year, Jeremiah Alexander. Reports came out today that Jeremiah Alexander is working alongside Kendrick Blackshire as the fourth guy in the inside linebacker rotation, which we were seeing before Lawson got hurt, right as Campbell came back. Campbell and Marshall were that second team of linebackers out there on the field. Lawson, Blackshire, that combination, Lawson and Marshall, that combination was very good to see. And you see the quickness on the field with Campbell. Even the play you highlighted, man, when the running back slipped out the backfield, his ability to recover. Me and Coach Jay talked about this the other night after the game. You saw him see, oh man, I'm not supposed to commit here. ball is in the air, his recovery speed as a linebacker is resemblance to Dante Hightower and his side to side range with his speed, man. And he's faster than Hightower. You can the on field speed, he's faster and just as aggressive. I won't say he brings that same type of pop, but sure tackler will hurt you on the hit, solid tackler, and he's fast. So I think the depth there is starting to come out, but to know that Jeremiah Alexander is getting work at that inside linebacker rotation is a positive and a negative in my eyes. A positive meaning, he's flexible. That guy has talent. We want to get him on the field like we've been doing all of our other young defensive talent. And then another thing, it's a negative because where's Justin Jefferson?
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. And I want to see this kid. I feel like this kid, maybe he's bought into a future plan here at Alabama, knowing that he has those automatic 2 years of eligibility under his belt coming from JUCO. So I wonder if he's bought into the next year plan, seeing what's in front of him with Marshall, Lawson. Those guys are gone next year. This Kevin Steele coordinator position might be around for the next 3 to 4 years. We might have a future and we have depth. So I'm not too worried about it, but to know that Jeremiah Alexander is working at the inside linebacker group is nasty. Let's move to the secondary, guys. Lights out, man. Coach Sean, take it away. I'm not going to give you a specific highlight your star out of that secondary this weekend, even though they all played great. We can agree to that, right?
Yeah, of course. I want to highlight Caleb Downs, man. We all know Terry Young done his thing, but Caleb Downs, man, listen, playing a safety position in Coach Saban's defense and that type of defense is difficult. It's mentally difficult, man. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. It's a lot of reads, a lot of checks, a lot of recognizing things, a lot of pass offs, it's a lot of things going on playing safety in that type of defense. So for Caleb Downs to be that young and to handle all that, man, I want to highlight him. The kid is a tackler. He's not afraid to come. Sometimes I worry about him because he'll come out there and hurt himself trying to knock you out. Mm-hmm. So I really like his play right now, man. I've yearned so long for a safety that can cover and will make the play in the run game. And he can do both. It seemed like so long, with DeMarco and even Jordan at times, those guys were very good in the run game, but every once in a while they let balls go over their head like that. I hadn't seen Caleb get burnt in a one-on-one situation since the Texas game. So I want to highlight him. Terrion has came on. We know he's came on. Terrion is a very physical corner. He shows that every week. And I saw something that you had talked about, Coach Mook. One of you guys, Coach Jay, somebody said something about you could see Kool-Aid got frustrated at times in the body language. I saw that Saturday. I don't know if he was hollering at somebody else, telling him to come on. I don't know what he was saying. But I did see what you guys were talking about, man. But and I think that's fixable. Kool-Aid is a great player, but I'm ecstatic about our secondary. I am. I think all those guys have played exceptionally well. Even Jalen Key, number 6, that kid has played exceptionally well as well.
Key points before I pass to you, Jay, that I want to highlight from Coach Sean's statement. I'm glad you highlighted Caleb Downs. You all remember I predicted him getting his first pick this game, his first official pick. I called it his coming out party. But the main thing I saw with Caleb Downs on his interception is he learned his lesson. Mississippi State was in a desperate situation. When you're in desperate situations on offense, when you're having a little bit of success, or you're trying to get that quarterback to catch that spark, you want to hit a big play. We gave them the same look that we gave Texas when they went to that formation. When they saw that look, they said, okay, we have him. Caleb Downs, that play that he caught the pick on was similar to what Texas ran against him. If you look at the play design, the crosser below him was his first read off of the number 1 read. That was his first read. He stuttered on that against Texas, and that allowed Worthy to get up in his cushion and blow past him. Mm-hmm. Caleb Downs was able to identify the dig route already being covered by the underneath coverage. It's in front of me. It's not at the sticks. I don't need to jump that so fast. Let me wait for the ball to get in the air. When he saw the dig, he looked to this outside, locked back on the quarterback, ball was in the air. He was already sliding that way. The kid is smart when it comes to IQ, but I also saw Jalen Key communicate that before the play. Stay up top. You see that this communication thing with this secondary is off the charts. Coach Jay, reaction to the secondary, your breakout player for this year, and I mean, just your overall assessment of the secondary.
Well, breakout player for the year in the secondary is by far Terry and Arnold. There's no question about it that Terry and Arnold and Kool-Aid, I talked about this on Saturday, but this might just be the best corner duo in the country as far as this boundary corners goes. Besides the Texas game, which really I can't really fault the boundary corners. I mean, for the most part, our safeties got picked apart, and again, you're dealing with a young, true freshman. You had Amos, you had you had Key. Those were, I mean, for the most part, and our linebackers, our inside linebackers, like those were the players that got picked apart the most that game. Of course, Kool-Aid had some mistakes, and of course Arnold made some mistakes as well, but it wasn't any, typical lethal mistakes as far as getting beat or getting toasted all night long. So, but yeah, with the exception of the Texas game, I don't think anybody has caught a pass on them. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some of those games, but I don't think anybody caught a pass with these two guys covering. So they have been locked down. Communication has been great. I love the physicality. This game, I think Kool-Aid was a little bit more physical. I think he might have watched our show. I think he might have watched our show, and I think he might have took that to heart. But Arnold has been physical all season long, and last year for the most part, people critiqued him because he might have been overly physical. But I'd rather have a guy that has too much aggression compared to someone that's just a little too conservative. I love aggression. If you're going to make a mistake, go all in and make the mistake, because you can learn from that. If you're playing too conservative at times, that's going to stick in your craw. You're not going to get rid of that if you're trying to be conservative or playing a little bit too scared. So I love what Arnold and Kool-Aid are bringing to the table. The rest of the guys, again, Jalen Key has kind of been that safety blanket of this team, a guy with a lot of experience that you can just kind of throw in there, especially with this Saban defense. I like what Amos is bringing to the table. We're not talking about Malachi Moore enough, man. I mean, as far as what he's doing from a run defending standpoint, a guy, he has been terrific, and that's kind of crazy to say because I didn't see this coming. I didn't see that. Probably your most physical player on the team might just be Malachi Moore. I didn't see that one coming. So we got to give him a lot of credit for what he was able to do and really kind of being the tone setter of this team.
Mm-hmm.
Just making hits after hit stick after hit stick, man. Like I'm playing Madden 2005. So it was absolutely terrific for what we see for our second. And of course, I can't forget about Caleb Downs. Just how much he's learning, from his mistakes. How much he's, you see the talent, you see the range, and you see the IQ, like you guys just implemented what he was able to kind of establish on the football field. So I think this is by game by game by game. I can't really remember a season, maybe since 2017 when we had Levi Wallace and Anthony Everett on the other side, and then you had Ronnie Harrison and Micah Fitzpatrick there, and Hootie. I can't remember a year since then where I was just excited to see the secondary on the field. Like, forget the offense. Let me see that secondary on the field because I know that these guys are going to make plays. So this is a great sign and just overall great. Again, just great progression. And I'm excited. I'm actually kind of afraid what happens next year because Arnold, I think Arnold is eligible for the draft. I don't want Arnold and Kool-Aid to go. It might have to be though, and it is what it is there. But as far as setting the tone wise, this secondary has been on it all year round. And I'm just excited to see what this team does, especially against a really good receiving core that A&M has.
Right. And if you wanted our secondary to show weakness early and get exposed, it would be against a Steve Sarkisian coached offense with the tools that he has available. You would expect a young free safety, true freshman free safety playing against Steve Sarkisian, a transfer from UAB who hasn't seen that level of speed or competition on a consistent basis. Trey Amos, who came from UL Monroe. He had a few problems in that Texas game. All the guys you all named, they showed their growth in this game against a formidable opponent who they like to rely on the run game, but their big plays come in the passing game, and we eliminated it. We didn't allow it. The longest pass reception was 22 yards. So you can't ask for more than that. And so to highlight one more thing before we transition to the offensive side, the mentality of this secondary is my side, your side. That's all you need to worry about. I see that happening. Kool-Aid and Terrion, they're not falling receivers, but you might as well let them the way that they're playing. I miss those days. And to answer your question, last time we had some lockdown corners, 2011. I was on the show with Daquan Mizzy on another show, and I thought about that group he played with when he played that star position. And I think that he said Kirkpatrick and Milner was their boundary guys.
2 first-round corners.
people forget how locked down those guys were at the college level. They look at their professional careers, but college level, there was no passing game against Alabama. People literally would throw the ball up and pray during 2011, 2012. So I'm excited to see this secondary continue to grow. And Caleb Downs definitely was the star of the game this week, leading in tackles, and to have the only, pick in the secondary. The other two picks were from linebackers. Before we transition to the offense, let's get to the chat, man. I see the chat is active tonight. We appreciate y'all for showing up. We got a question from Michael Fields that, since we're on the defense, before we leave it, Coach, do you think Otis is better on the inside rather than playing that end? Quick 30-second response. Go ahead, Coach Jay.
I think he's better as an end, and I would rather just work Keenan because Keenan brings that interior pass rush, that explosiveness that I think Otis is just kind of lacking. I think Otis is more of an end than to simply slide on the inside.
Okay, Coach Sean.
I don't, man. I think he's better on the inside. I mean, I think he's much better than Tim stopping the run. Tim is a better pass rusher from what I see. I mean, I couldn't believe Tim Keenan. And at that point, when I say what I said, I hadn't seen him rush the passer like that. I think the very next game, I seen him chasing the quarterback down. Like,
USF,
wow, yeah, that was crazy. I like Otis better in the middle. I don't like seeing us get gutted like that in the middle a lot, man. I'm not used to seeing our linebackers have to be so active, and I'm not sure that's just because how good they are, or it's just our defensive front three are not doing what they're supposed to do in the run game. I like him better in the middle. I like him better playing that on the nose.
Me personally, I like the way that Kevin Steele is using the personnel sets that put him inside and on the edge. My thing is keep him and Keenan on the field together. Don't allow them to not
that's
be
why
on
they
the
done
field.
that. True. I think that's why they done that.
And that's what I'm seeing. So when that second group comes in, they provide a different type of run contain, a different type of interior pass rush. And you saw that. I don't know if y'all noticed, but not only was Ja Latham lining up at the end and the tackle spot, but James Smith got in the game at tackle, at defensive tackle when we went to the 3-man front, and he was the middle guy. And Otis was the end, and we saw a strong push. So I'm liking it, the flexibility he's showing. That just makes the depth and the value of depth even greater. Shout out to Clinton Howard, one of our members on the channel. He said O-line has to have its best game this week. That A&M front is for real. And a perfect segue into our next segment. We want to talk about this Alabama offense and just give an overall assessment. I came up with these topics because this is kind of what Bama University has been talking about all week. Can we still trust Jalen Milroe? Is the O-line finally meshing? And our wide receivers, man. So let's attack these things. Let's dissect them and get into the numbers and get into our personal opinions about it. First, let's talk about the O-line. Let's save Milroe for the last. Let's get on to that last because I know we're going to tackle that. So let's talk about this O-line, man. O-line grades, overall performance. Highlight your key guys you've seen most improve. Coach Jay, take it away, man, because you were very critical of that offensive line. Through the first 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, I think the real question is, do I trust Seth McLaughlin to snap me the ball? Because I'm tired of Jalen Milroe keep making Odell Beckham-like catches whenever Seth McLaughlin's trying to snap me that football. Snapping it to the left, snapping it too wide, snapping it too wide to the right side, snapping it too high, snapping it too low. And yet you have to see these crazy acrobat, type catches from Jalen Milroe looking like Odell Beckham Jr. And yet people wonder why the timing is disrupted. Right. And maybe that has to rush Jalen Milroe's process. I think we have to give Jalen Milroe a credit for the composure that he's able to have in the pocket with a lot of those little snaps. That's got to get fixed. Now, to talk about how like we did on Saturday, I think that Seth McLaughlin, I think for the most part, was able to kind of get it together. And I think he was a pretty big influence in the run game, especially in max protection. But he's got to get better with these snaps. It's been every single game has been ugly from him. And that's I really do think that kind of just messes up the timing and the rhythm of this offense. So that's got to be cleaned up. Really, that's my only critique of this offensive line, I think, for this week. I think everybody else played excellent. I really do. Of course, we had a couple of rough drives, of course, but I think we cleaned it up ever since. Darren Delcourt, there's not been a bigger critic of Darren Delcourt than me. and he played excellent. I got to give him a lot of credit. He's been one of our better offensive linemen. Got to give him a lot of credit. Caden Proctor, like how Coach Sean was talking about, is showing massive improvement, especially dealing with a lot more power coming off the edge. And I think everyone else is doing their job. Tyler Booker, I hate to say it, Tyler Booker might just be our Landon Dickerson as far as just trash talk on the field.
Yes.
I don't think there's a better trash talk on the field.
Did you see that?
Tyler Booker needs here.
Did you see that on the last drive when they were pushing Jace? He got I love it, man.
You gotta love that, man. And then I think Latham is starting to get back into form. So this offensive line is doing a lot better as a whole. But really, the weakness of this team, I think, right now on this point, is Seth McLaughlin. And
right.
we want to see 2021 Seth, where he single-handedly made that offensive line better towards the end of the season. He single-handedly changed Bama's season. Because he was able to kind of be that enforcer for Darren Delcourt. Then 2022, he came in, once again, changed life for the offensive line. And now this year, I don't know if he's getting too comfortable. I don't know if I don't know what the issue is, but that he's got to fix that. These snaps are going to cost this man in a game where it's going to matter the most. And I don't want it to be A&M. So let's get that right with Seth McLaughlin. Besides that, though, I think with Jalen Murrow, as far as trust, I absolutely trust Jalen Murrow. He's shown me the ability to take care of the football. He's once again had another day where he threw for 80% of his passes. Again, he's not making careless mistakes. He's trusting his eyes, and when he doesn't trust it, he's just gonna go out. He's not gonna make a big mistake as far as turning over the ball. He rather would just take care of the sack, right? Take the sack, or if he sees a lane, he's just gonna go through the lane, right? So he's starting. You can tell that this is Coach Saban. This is all Coach Saban. Maybe we can throw in some time reads, but you can tell he's trusting what the coaches are telling him. He's learning little bit by his mistakes. And like I said, it may take longer to get that process ensued, but once he starts to, but you're seeing that he's getting that down. He's getting that repetition down. And that's all you can ask for. I don't care if he's not throwing for 300 or 400 yards. I don't care if he's not doing that at all.
Right.
All I care about is my offensive line. Are they protecting my quarterback? Are we getting the run game going? Are we being physical up front? And is Jalen Murrow, is he not putting this team in a position to fail? And so far, what I've seen over these last 6 quarters, he has not put my team, he's not put our team as a whole as Bama fans, he's not put Alabama in a situation to fail, right? He has not put this defense in a situation to fail. So no, I like what I'm seeing. I think play calling wise, we'll touch into that a little bit later on, but it's, you're starting to see that now when the offense is starting to kind of fit Jalen Murrow, you're starting to see now that he's starting to become a lot more comfortable. And I think that's all you can ask for.
Right. And to highlight something you said, key, man, this offensive line is being put to the test to do what they've been asking to be, to be tasked to do. We want to run block. We want to impose our will. And they have done that. When they've been given more than 15 opportunities in the first half, we see a positive run game going out of the first half. Even against Ole Miss, when I think we were up by 3 coming out of the half, or whatever the score was, we were down or whatever. We had a positive run game coming out of the first half, and that's going to set the tone with us, especially going against A&M. This defense doesn't need to be on the field for more than 65 snaps. This needs to be another 55 or less snap defensive game for this game to be successful. And you're going to have to rely on the run game. So people that are questioning how we're using this offensive line and the play calling style, it kind of frustrates me. Coach Sean, talk about this O-line's assessment before we move into the next position group, and what do you see happening? And I want you to talk about, because you were talking about the coaching at the offensive line position. Highlight those keys with how Eric Wolfer is affecting his team, and what are you seeing happen right now technique wise?
I see fundamentals. I see things. I see tackles that's not lunging anymore. I see guards that's actually firing off the ball, getting the hat on the hat. I see offensive linemen playing the right leverage. I see them communicating. I see things with these guys that I didn't see the first couple of games, maybe from 1 or 2 people, but not the entire offensive line. I can't tell you how many times I saw Caden look back down the line of scrimmage and somebody was making a call and he was responding to it. I can't tell you how many times I saw that. The improvement of the offensive line is from this game, from our first or second game, is uncanny. For me, though, and maybe we'll get more in depth on the next segment, it's something else with me. It's something else with me. I agree with everything Coach Jay said, everything you guys said. but I'm not. I'm gonna take the other side of it. You know, when we get into the next segment, I'm not as twinkly toes about us right now. I'm not, and I'll tell you exactly why when we move on.
Right. And like I said, the O line to me has showed steady improvement. I think with every test we've shown where our weaknesses and our strengths were. And I think this game we saw play calling hide the weaknesses early so that they weren't weaknesses, which was our pass pro early in the game. We didn't see so much of the offensive line struggling in pass protection. We just saw Jalen Miro wasn't comfortable early in the game dropping back to pass, which led to the style of play calling. And we can dive into that, man. A lot of people have been questioning Tommy Rees. They have their opinions on Tommy Rees and this play calling style. You know, that one of the highlights of the play calling style is the amount of targets we're getting at our, deep receiver room. Talk about it, man. Your personal opinions on that aspect of this Alabama offense, because me being a realist and knowing what we had to work with, I would say that we may be behind the power curve a little bit, but this past game is what I expected from our team in order for us to be successful this year with what we had returning. So just, go in depth, and Coach Sean, take it away with your thoughts on this offense's growth and play calling and everything. Specifically, I know you want to speak on Tommy Rees and the play calling style.
Shout out Jonathan Hurst. What's up to you, brother? Roll Tide to you. For me, guys, I mean, Coach Jay, Coach Smook, these guys made great points. I mean, I can't disagree with nothing they said, because everything they said from a time fashion, from a progression fashion, was 1,000% correct. And Jalen Milroe has not put the team in a position to lose. I can't pile on Jalen Milroe, because Jalen Milroe is doing all he can possibly do under the circumstances at the moment. I think Jalen Milroe is right where he needs to be. Obviously, we could improve better with the throwing, but for us to put up the points we put up as a whole, as a team, first half, I can't say nothing bad about Milroe. What do bother me, and I have a great concern about is and again, that's why when we opened the segment, I said for this team, I was satisfied with blah, blah, blah. For this team, I was satisfied. Mississippi State, we really didn't have to do much. We really didn't have to, we could come out there and run the ball how many ever times. Jalen Milroe could be our leading rusher. The guys, I was talking to the guys earlier before we started the show. I'm a type of coach. I've been told in the past I focus too much on futuristic things, and the reason why I do that is I can't hardly be satisfied with what I see when I know better competition will beat us if we play like that. So while Jalen didn't play bad at all, I don't like that we threw the ball one time in the first quarter. I don't like that. I understand we didn't have to do anything else, but for me, I want to see you do it. After you get up a lead, I want to see you throw that thing, because the team you're about to play, I assure you won't come out there and run the ball 15 times in a row. If you do, we're going to get blew off the field. You've got to be able to hit slant routes. Tommy Rees has got to be able to call things to get us a total yardage of more than 357 total yards. If you look at the stats, Mississippi State matched us in time possession just about. We had the ball 30 minutes. They had the ball about 29 and a half. They matched us on third down conversions. We were 5 of 12. I think they were 5 of 13. Everything in that game, we didn't really beat them. We beat them because they gave us 3 turnovers. That's why we capitalized on that game. You take those 3 turnovers away, our ass is in a fight. You know what I'm saying? And that concerned me, because several teams that we play here will not turn the ball over like that. For God's sakes, man, we didn't even score a touchdown in the second half. And that wasn't on Jalen Milroe. Some of the plays that were called were for me, was head scratching. I understand we got to lead. We want to run the ball. We want to get some confidence, but damn the confidence, bro. You got Texas A&M next week. You got Arkansas after that. You got Tennessee after that, a bye week, and then you got LSU. I need for you to call plays to put Jalen, even if he's uncomfortable. We have got to be able to. Our offensive passing game has got to be better. We're gonna lose this game. I'll say it right now as the biggest BAMA fan. If we go out there thinking you're going to be able to run the ball, we're going to be in third and long every time, because they clearly watch the film like we do. I know exactly how they're going to play us right now. These guys are going to pressure. They're going to stack the line. And it's truly what Coach Jay said. This defensive front, zero. Who else? They had a couple of ballers up there on the front, man.
Walter Nolan, Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart,
Yes.
McKinley Jackson.
45.
They may have 3 first rounders on that defensive line
Facts.
this year. I mean,
Man,
they got monsters.
Monsters, brother. So all that running the ball over and over and over again is great. I'm all for that. But I need to feel confident that we have an offensive coordinator that's going to call some things where we can be successful. I understand we can run the ball, but it concerns me that we played very well and we're not able to score a touchdown in the second half. We scored 3 field goals, one from 38, one from 34, and one from 48, I believe. So that concerns me. That concerns me of the play calling that I saw. You know, I need for us to have some type of level-headed pass game for Jalen. I don't know if they, and to be honest, from what I see, I don't know if we just got ahead in the game and we just wanted to lean on him, because I seen Saban blow a gasket one time. We went 5 wide down the red zone again. I need for Tommy Rees to find out what Jalen can do and go with it, man. I trust Jalen. I think if you give Jalen his opportunities, the kid's gonna make us plays. He's gonna make us plays. I don't think we featured Jermaine Burton enough. I know he didn't play in the game, but I think Jermaine Burton needs opportunities. I feel like they should get Jermaine. They should work whatever they have to work and make sure they get Jermaine Burton the game. That kid is hot right now. He's hot. He's feeling himself. He wants the ball. I just don't like the second half, man. I don't like the fact that Mississippi State was able to move the ball a little bit, because this team we about to play, man, listen, outside of Texas, this might be the most talented team we played on our schedule yet to date. Their defensive front is active. They have 2 running backs, number 8 and number 4, I believe, Daniels, and I forget the other young man's name, but number 8 is a pounder. That he toting the rock, toting it. So they're gonna be physical.
Le'Veon Moss.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, man. So we can't just rest on this conservative offensive game plan. I'm not satisfied with that. I'm satisfied with it against Mississippi State, not for Texas A&M.
And that's the thing. That's why I can just listen to you but not hear it at the same time, because it's another team. We haven't played any team the same at all this season. And that's what gives me confidence about Tommy Rees and his play.
Let me ask you something. So it don't concern you at all that we could not score a touchdown in the second half?
It does, but I see the reason why we went for the 3 instead of going for it on 4th and 2 in positive field side. You know, you haven't given your kicker many opportunities to be in that type of environment, to have to make that type of kick. It's a psychological game when it get at that point for Saban. You're up by 2 scores. No need to force it and put Miro in a situation where he's forcing a pass or having to put his legs in jeopardy of getting injured when we're up 2 scores in the second half. I didn't see the need to force it on 4th and 2, even though we were at the 38. That's just me personally thinking about future game. We got to see A&M. Why reveal it when we see wide receivers getting open in previous class calls when, 3 other passes that Jalen Miro could have made in face, he didn't, because he wasn't necessarily comfortable with his read, but he ended up making positive plays out of it. So you live with that for this game, like you said. Now, in film, good coaching staff, you take that quarterback and you say, you see this right here? If you get this look against A&M, we need you to take this. We need this from you this game. That's when it becomes a concern if we don't see him testing it early in the A&M game. Like you said, I don't believe we're going to be able to come out and every first down hand the ball off and expect positive plays from it. Positive plays meaning 3 or more. You need to gas these guys at least 3 yards of carry starting this game off to see success and to get those safeties, because those safeties are going to sit over top just like ours did against Mississippi State. They're going to play discipline, and when they go one side, one high, they know how to call up dial up blitzes to force you to a one-sided read so that safety doesn't have to cover backside. The advantage I do see that we have is a lot of that play calling that we seen against Texas, where Miro just looked kind of lost in phases of it. I feel like he's more comfortable in that. And the reason I could say that is because think about that pass he made to Knee Black when Knee Black crossed from the right side and ran the dig, and the ball placement with in man coverage, the guy was on his backside shoulder. He leads him to the sideline with enough space to catch the ball, tuck it, and almost, plant his feet to get upfield. And then also the corner pass where he steps up in the pocket and lets Kneeback clear his cut to, look over his shoulder and catch that pass. A lot of key things that I saw in Jalen Miro and this Tommy Reese's play calling and his placement of his play calling, I've seen the improvement. Is it there yet? No. A lot of the run calls we saw in the red zone, I don't know why we're trying to go to the edge when we're gashing them up the middle against Mississippi State in the red zone. Hit them up the middle. When we did, Jason McClellan and that offensive line, they carry him into the end zone dancing. You know, he doing the little robot. So, you know, why are we trying to test the edge? I can understand why, but in games like that, we on the road, I don't like this trial and error play calling. And I think that's what you're getting at more so than, you know, not the production side, because we still were moving the ball in the second half at will. We were moving it, just we weren't turning. We should have had at least 21 points in the second half based off the 3 field goals that we had. At least 21.
I agree with you. It just concerns me with the level of punts we had in the second half. I just don't think on the road at Texas A&M is where you experiment with it at. I mean, I feel like if we get down in that game, we're gonna be in some trouble. I don't know, man. I just feel weird about the second half of our game. We were doing well.
We only had 1 punt in the second half. We only had 4 drives in the second half. We were able to control the ball that good. Defense was able. They had 2 drives past 6 plays in the second half. I mean, just ball control. I feel like ball control is the key because they were not going to get out of that 3 high look, man. I hate that for a quarterback like Jalen Miro. You come on, Sean. That's the easiest way to disguise and bait a guy.
I totally get you. Totally get you. I was just speaking from a standpoint of scores on the road. You're going to score 7 points. You're going to have to train yourself repetition wise. You got to get in the end zone. Because if we let these guys go up on us, we have the potential to come back, but I don't even want us to be in that position where we got to fight from behind. It just concerned me. I'm so used to seeing us put points on the board. It just concerned me, us scoring 31 points and end with 40. It just concerned me. That's all.
Yeah, and me and Coach Jay highlighted a certain play call in the second half where they were talking about how we had to design anything for Bonds to get open, and literally Tommy Reese dialed it up in the midst of the announcer, the commentators talking about it. I think that play was open earlier in the game, but Miro he didn't step up in the pocket. That's when he rolled out, and he could have tried to throw it to Bonds late, but Miro was so focused on protecting the ball and getting positive plays that he relied on his legs for this game, and it worked out to our advantage. Now to A&M, do I think they will present more opportunities? Yes, they call an aggressive style defense. They don't have the speed in the secondary to contain our wide receivers. They have experience back there, but they don't have the speed. I'm curious to see if Miro's going to be confident enough to just let some early ones go and if he giving our receivers 50-50 balls on 9 out of 10 passes in the first quarter, I think we win 9 out of 10 of those 50-50 balls. You get what I'm saying? That's how confident I am in our receiving core, tight end group included. Coach Jay, talk about those tight ends, man. That's been a highlight of our offense that we just continue to overlook, So talk about them.
I think we have one of the best tight end groups in the country. I think we have one of the deepest tight end cores in the country. And I think what you saw was exactly what we've been saying all year round. These tight ends can beat you in so many different ways. They can block when we're in 12 or 13 personnel. These guys can run routes. They can line up out wide. They can line up on the slot. I thought what you saw from Amari Niblack was that hybrid type of player, that very similar role of what a Jatavion Sanders, a Caden Stover, and a Brock Bowers does, this is a multitasker, type tight end. He's more of a receiver than more of a tight end, but he is a willing blocker. He's not afraid to go down on the line of scrimmage and really help, and not just try to chip block, but to try to, put a defensive end, down around their behind. He's not afraid to do that. He's a willing blocker that's willing to do whatever it takes for the team. So he's a guy that he's going to get his opportunities, and he's going to win matchups. He's been winning if you look at the tape, he's been winning matchups for all of the 4 to 5 weeks that he's played. Again, the problem is that I just think that we just haven't really, again, Jalen Miro has not been able to see him enough. And a lot of it not really his fault. I mean, some of it is because of the offensive line. Some of it is because Jalen Miro is, again, he's going through his, he a little bit too slow on trying to go through his reads, but I think that he's getting a lot quicker at doing that. I thought what you saw with this Mississippi State game was a night block that was pretty much, I mean, again, he could have, I'm so pissed off that didn't count as a touchdown pass.
That was a touchdown, bro. I don't care what y'all say.
A legit that was a touchdown. But no, what you're seeing is a receiver in a tight end's body, and I'm excited to see what he can do. And the same thing with Dupree, right? Dupree, again, he's not the best tight in the world, but he's more of a balanced tight end, right? He's a willing blocker. He's probably a better blocker than Nye Black, but a guy that can also catch the football. Robbie Oots is the same thing. It's more of that H-back type body, but still, Robbie Oots is also a very good player. Danny Lewis is more of a receiving tight end that has that Gronk-like body.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for all these tight ends. It's going to be really, really good to see. One of the deepest tight end rooms in the country.
And bro, you highlighted something that I think people are not paying attention to. We probably have the deepest blocking tight end group we've had as far as, solid blocking tight ends that we've had in years, man. I don't think we've ever been this deep as far as rotating 4 guys that you really don't miss a beat at. Knee Black is just a different breed when it comes to those 4 guys, but you talk about drop off in production, there is none in that tight end room. And one thing I want to highlight, Coach Sean, you was talking about it earlier, how the communication on the offensive line was a lot better this game through all 4 quarters. I saw a play in the second quarter, 3rd and 1. I think it was the second one where we converted as a matter of fact, this was the first 3rd down we converted when we put Miro under center and everybody was on Twitter. Bama quarterback sneak, that play. If you go back and watch that play, the offensive line and the protection, the run game, the run blocking was very intense from the start. Those guys wanted to impose their will. And CJ Dupree was very vocal about pace and tempo and getting the call in and guys getting lined up. He yelled at Seth McLaughlin. You see him out. Seth, get the down. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's hurry up. Get the call. We're in it. Line up, And Milroe's trying to be nice about it. And I think Milroe saw that. And you saw Milroe's attitude change after that 3rd and 1 conversion from that point on in the game. So I like what we're seeing from this offensive line, this protection group. I love what we're seeing from this tight end group and all phases. One thing I will say, I don't know if y'all want to agree or disagree, but Robbie Oots is probably the most valuable tight end in that room. Reason I say that,
I love Oots.
I want to say that because Oots is the guy, and we've seen Dupree line up at the fullback / H-back position. Get in the run black, and he's solid. But Oots always creates some type of impact block. He either misses big, trying to go big, or he's creating a big block in the run game when he's at the H-back, when he's in man on line of scrimmage, when he's, split out. He's effective in the pass game. We saw the big catch he made last week. He had another, athletic play that got called back because of the lineman downfield, which really wasn't the fault of anybody, just football being played. It happens sometimes, wasn't costly. We was able to get the next play and first down. But, yeah, Oots is definitely valuable. This running back room has really been solid for us all season. Coach Sean, talk about this running back rotation. I know a lot of people want to see Justice Haynes and all this, all that. I think it's playing out perfectly for his timeline here at Bama with what he has in front of him. But talk about the running back room, man. What are you seeing from this running back room and how we're growing?
I think the running back room is outstanding. I love the fact that they're getting opportunities to run the ball. We're going to need him in this game. I love the fact that I like the fact that he's giving the running backs an opportunity to get in the rhythm. He's not giving them 5 plays here, 2 plays there. You get 3 plays, you get 1 more play. Let him get in the rhythm. Let him play for a while. As we talked about before, when you play running back, man, it's not one of those positions where you can just get hot and cold and you got to try to get back hot again. You got to let a running back cook. You have to let him get in the game and feel the game out, feel the blocking scheme, and as well with the offensive line. So I'm ecstatic about how the running backs are being used, man. We probably going to need them in this game, probably more than usual. And I want to say something real quick about what you just said. I was just about to say something about that. Those illegal linemen downfield. I know one time we had an RPO called and Jalen kept the ball. JC Latham, it was on JC Latham. JC thought he was going to keep it. So JC was just trying to block downfield. And at the last second, Miro sort of flipped it to somebody. Yeah. And that's how he got the flag. So
those stuff like that, though, man.
Yeah, stuff like that can be cleaned up really, really, really easy. That's film study all day. That can be cleaned up very well. My thing is I want the offensive play calling to match what we're doing. Like I said, I'm totally satisfied with what we did against Mississippi State. I needed a win like that. I did. Yes. I just hope that our lack of the offensive forward passing game don't come back to bite us in this game on the road.
You can't play with that line. You can't. Not against that D line.
That D line
Facts.
is
Facts.
strong, and you want to. I will give A&M their credit where it's due, because outside of that defensive front, they have players, but I don't see them being a threat like that defensive front. I feel like we could win in the other matchups outside of that defensive front, guys. I mean, on a consistent basis, and I mean that's running backs having to be covered out the backfield by linebackers or their star, their nickel corner. I think we win those matchups. I think our linebackers win passing game matchups, blocking matchups against their linebackers and their safeties. I think our wide receivers block solid enough to be physical enough to affect their edge containment in our edge run game. So it's all about getting that initial interior push. I believe that's going to be important, and that's what's going to allow Jalen Milroe to push that ball downfield. And I don't think we're going to be able to rely on the quick pass game. I think it's going to have to be this game is going to be getting him off platform, moving the pocket, play action pass. I don't want to see him in more than 5 or 6 real true drop back situations, true drop back situations. And we want to see those on 2nd and 7, not 3rd and 9. We want to see those on 2nd and 7 where he's got an opportunity to, use his legs or his arm to get the positive yardage, whether it's big positive yardage or, 3-4 yards from extending the ball and not seeing nothing downfield. So the play calling definitely has to match the type of game we're in. And based off the matchups that we're highlighting, guys, I'm more than 110% with you, brother, when it's talking about this downfield passing game, because the opportunities and the options are there. Coach Jay, you highlighted somebody earlier, Jermaine Burton. Where was Jermaine Burton? The report did come back. He was nicked up in the 3rd quarter. I don't know if y'all remember him on the I want to say the punt. It was a punt. He was kind of engaged with somebody and got rolled up on his ankle. But you can see a clip of him kind of limping on the sideline after Knee Black made the clutch catch in the second half. So hopefully it doesn't affect him, because we're gonna need Burton and that speed in against A&M in the secondary. Coach Jay, what are you assessing about this wide receiver group as we begin to come in with our final thoughts for this game coming up this weekend? What are you seeing from our wide receiver group, and how do you gauge the temperature around that group?
It's warm, 70 degrees, man. So that's really, like I said over here, that's really, really good, man, until we get to the 50s in 2 weeks. So no, I think it's really well. These receivers have been a stable, part of this group. I think they're a little bit more comfortable within this offensive scheme that Tyrese is trying to display. I think that this group has learned to deal with all sorts of adversity. I mean, and like I said, these guys haven't really gotten the ball as much. So I know for the most part, you see a lot of people that's critiquing these receivers. We talked about this last week, how there were people out there saying that there's not one top 100 receiver that's going to be a part of this draft. But when you go back, man, these receivers are getting open. These receivers can beat you with speed. These receivers that can beat you with physicality. And the one thing I'm proud about this group is that these guys are just willing blockers, man. These guys are actually kind of want to run block, which again, when you look at receivers, they're more kind of like the drama queens, man. Like they want the ball, right? They want to demand the ball, right? It's some selfishness in there. So to see that these guys want to go out there, want to run block, are willing to be patient with Jalen Milroe, willing to demand for him to be the starting when there was controversy there, because they had all the right in the world to say, you know what, that's not our guy because we're not getting the football and we're following the script. We're following the script. We're getting open and we're still not getting the football. How does that make sense? So, I really, really like these guys. I think that these guys are extremely confident. In a way, I like our backup receivers. These are 5 stars waiting right behind Jermaine Burton. You look at a guy like Jalen Hale, who's been waiting for an opportunity for a long time. A Malik Benson, who's made some mistakes, but obviously we all know that he has that he's got the speed to definitely be a threat for us. And then you look at the Isaiah Bonds and the Kobe Prentices and the Kendrick Laws, who's been getting a few opportunities here and there. A lot of guys that are just waiting in order for them to kind of shine and to definitely just go out there and get their opportunity. So overall, guys, I really like this receiving group. They've been getting a lot more patient, and I think pretty sooner or later when I think we really start to figure our offense, and I think all things start to click for both our passing attack and our rushing attack, you're really going to start to see these receivers explode.
Coach Sean, before I pass to you, can I have my moment? Don't y'all think I've been good tonight? I've been very concise and short with my. Can I have my moment? Because I'm a wide receiver coach. I played the position. And some of the stuff that I'm seeing in these comments, I gotta just
Go get them.
listen, guys. And this is why I kind of just turn off my Twitter sometimes. I turn off my notifications when it comes to how we evaluate this team and what this team is doing right now. To be presented with the cards we were handed coming into the season, the amount of talent we have, the lack of experience at quarterback, the new talent at the left tackle position, guys moving positions, switching sides of the offensive line, guys putting on all these offseason troubles, transfers coming in, trying to fit guys in, young guys stepping into bigger roles. We complained about a quarterback that threw 10 of 12 passing, really 11 of 12 passing, if they give Knee Black that catch in the back of the end zone, which was really a catch. So you take away a touchdown pass. This guy went 10 of 12, went for 168 passing yards, I want to say, something like that. So you telling me on 10 completions, he's almost touching 200 yards. His average yard completion is over 12 yards per pass. 0 turnovers. 3 negative plays dropping back in the passing game. And we're complaining that the receivers aren't getting enough attempts. My thing is, what I've seen from this receiver group that allows me to believe, contrary to what the Alabama fan base who's pushing that narrative, that these receivers are getting mad, they're going to transfer. I see receivers who understand anytime we have an opportunity, we got to make plays, because right now it's not going to be a lot of opportunities to make plays. If we want to be a national championship team, if we want to be the team that stands up behind what we're saying, which is not about individuality, but team success, we have to buy into this process too. And that means we have to do our part in developing this run game in order for opportunities for us to make plays to be thrown out there. And we saw early Texas that they didn't wide receivers. We had 1 drop that game and it was a contested pass. We had 2 interceptions by Jalen Milroe. So it's not his decision. It's not his ball placement. It's not his inability to pass. It was his decision making that we were questioning. It's never been the wide receivers' issue, and I think they understand that. And like you said, Coach Jay, you said something key. These guys have bought into run blocking. A lot of these run plays that is breaking for big yardage and going for big plays is because you're not dealing with corners coming in, making side tackles, being able to support. You're not dealing with many safeties that's lined up in the slot. They're not able to be the first ones to contact. You have to bring a safety in the box in order to get them to our run game. And that all it entails to what this wide receiver group has bought into when it comes to the development of this offense. Because I believe a game just like this, so you guys are very true. I believe A&M is going to stack the box, and they're going to make Milroe. They're going to test Milroe's ability to get the ball downfield. And this is a game where the wide receivers are asking for those 50-50 chances. I don't care what you do, Milroe. It ain't got to be perfect. Just give us a chance. These boys are hungry, and we've had 2 drops this whole season, 2 drops where the wide receivers have had the ball in their hands uncontested, and there have been drops. Every other drop outside of that, the 7 total drops we have this season have been contested drops. So, guys, we have to trust this process. I keep telling y'all every week, there's a method to the madness. Coach Saban is playing a psychological game that's affecting not only the opponents, but the players on the field and how they produce. Coach Sean, take it away with this wide receiver production. I'm sorry I had to just get that out. And that was a nice way of saying, shut up and trust the process with this wide receiver group. Nobody's leaving. Those guys are having fun winning. Jermaine Burton had fun limping on that sideline, cheering for those young guys. That Jalen Hill burning the guy and having to get overthrown because Milroe had somebody at his feet on his release. That's positivity that you can see being infectious on that sideline. Take it away, Coach Sean.
I just feel like hopefully with this game that's coming up right now, we had a game plan down pat. I watched those guys play. I think it'll be very similar to how he played us at Alabama last year. I don't think that Jimbo has faith in the fact that we have faith in our quarterback. If I was playing Alabama, I would do the same thing. I think they're going to blitz him. I watched Arkansas rush 3 and drop 8, and Max Johnson picked them apart on certain, made some very big plays. I watched him fumble the ball a couple of times on his own, taking hits. This kid, Max Johnson, to me scares me a little more than Connor Weigman. Connor Weigman's athletic, okay, cool, but Max Johnson's a big guy that was standing there, and he's a tough kid. Kid take a beating, get right back up. Tough kid, big arm, accurate. He got two guys out there, Anaya Smith and Evan Stewart. They're gonna try to get the ball downfield to those guys. They're gonna zone readers to death, and they're gonna try to go over top. This team will take its shots. We said it against Texas. All three of us was 100% correct. This team will take its shots. The crowd, this will be the loudest crowd we played against since our home game against Texas. If you think Ole Miss crowd here at Bama or Ole Miss crowd was great, I can't take nothing from that. But any crowd we faced on the road won't be nothing like what we faced Saturday. So I'm really, really, really hoping. My concern is not a concern. I hope Tommy Rees comes out, and I just hope we're not too conservative. I don't want to be so conservative to where we put our defense right back in the same spot where they got to win the game for us. Right. They were on the field 3 and out. I just don't want to do that against this team. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing with Jalen. I think Jalen has played outstanding. He's played about as well as you could possibly play under the circumstances. Right. With everything you said as being new. I am more focused on the play caller. Right. Just like when Saban blew up, I was the same way. Don't get too cute going 5 wide and just run the offense, run the offense. Run the offense. Facts. That's all I'm concerned with. This will be a very, very, very different animal on the road. And like Coach Jay said, those guys, number 3, 0, 45, man, those guys coming. They coming, man. And I don't want to see another 5-sack game, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11. I want us to run the ball. I want us to take our shots when they're there early and let them know that we're not afraid to throw that thing, man. So it's going to be a very important game because this game is only the tip of the iceberg. Like I said, we got Arkansas after this. Mm-hmm. I think we have Tennessee after that. We have a bye week, then we got LSU. So these next 3 games will dictate our season. We'll find out how good we are here very soon.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate that last just realization, guys. We have to understand what we need. We're doing with this team. We don't want to put too much on them while they're thriving right now. You don't want to put the extra step on them. Shout out to my guy Joseph Washington for the $2 super chat. Love y'all fellas. Don't let the goofy fans take slides. Facts, man. Hey, shout out to you, man. Roll Tide. And Tim Lovett, he said, I feel like it's going to click Saturday. This O-line might try and send a message. I'm calling it. I was literally about to make a closing statement alluding to that type of mentality, not just with the O-line, but I feel like this offense as a whole it feels like they're finally at the level where they can answer their full call to answer the call that they had on them for Texas game. I feel like they're ready for that call. That play calling style from Texas was balanced. It just wasn't effective to the point where we got forced into the pass game way too early. And we highlighted that. Not that the passing game couldn't work. It's just for that point in stage where our offensive line was and where Jalen Milroe was in his growth as a quarterback and in dissecting coverages, I don't think we're ready. But if we were to talk about growth from that week, the end of that game to going into Texas A&M and some of the same similar obstacles they present against our offense, number one being with that defensive front, if we can keep them from being able to get pressure with 4, we're going to see Jalen Milroe go crazy this game. You can't sit back and cover for 6 seconds against this offense. Milroe with 6 seconds is too much time because that means by the time somebody breaks loose to chase him down, he's just back there lollygagging, look for the pass anyways. And by the time he breaks out, your guys are stuck in coverage. And A&M, Sean, Jay, I know y'all probably didn't watch as much, but against Auburn, they went a lot of man against 12 personnel and against 11 personnel. Anytime there was a tight end on the field, they relied on their man coverage. I don't see that being a beneficial for them when we're getting the type of success with 6-man protection in the passing game like we are. We're getting good success with 2-man pass routes, max protection. Like, I don't see A&M being able to have that type of success with Milroe relying on his legs, and it's all because he's relying on his legs and adding that extra threat in the run game. And that gives you that extra dimension of offense you need to if you want to be successful. Let's get some of these comments, man.
Coach Mook, before you go, can I address this one comment real quick? Because it was directly to me. This is the Cow 1. He says, SPH, no need to keep making excuses for Jalen Milroe. Cow 1, let me explain something to you real quick, brother. You got to get to know me. I'm not one of those excuses. Fans. You understand? I played this game all my life, played 4 years of college, played 2 years of Arena League, coach high school football, coach youth league football, been to VTO camps, sat in the same room with Coach Saban 3 times. I don't make excuses, brother. I don't make excuses. Never have, never will. When I say Jalen is not the reason, Jalen Milroe is playing exceptional ball. Some of you, not all of you, was doing the same thing with Buckner. Buckner got in, and you saw why Coach Saban didn't start him.
Yes.
So no, brother, I don't make excuses. I'm riding with Jalen Milroe. If you look at our channel, you'll see me on Milroe from day one. You know what I mean? Jalen has played very well. I can't put that on Jalen. I was specifically speaking to some of the play calls. I wanted us to be more aggressive in the second half. It concerned me that we did not score 7 points, 6 points. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see us cross that goal line. You know understand? Coach Smook and Coach Jay made a great point. We weren't really playing for that. And that's probably correct. You know what I'm saying? So understand the difference in what you can do versus what you just don't have to do.
Right.
That's what I was saying.
Yep. And you said something so key as I throw it back to Coach Jay after this. What we have to do, like in this game, we're going to have to push the ball downfield. Like I said, we're going to have to, in order to see any type of success, extended drives, we're going to have to push the ball downfield because they're committed to stopping the run. They're not willing to gamble like Mississippi State. Mississippi State, believe it or not, Mississippi State was more worried about the big play over top of the head than they were securing the interior run game. For some reason, they thought that they could handle interior run game with 5 guys. I don't know what gave them that idea. Maybe they didn't watch the second half of the Ole Miss game like the rest of college football did. But that's what happened, and they brought 6 in the box. They couldn't stop us. So the moment they put 7 in the box, that's when I saw Jalen Milroe, be able to start dissecting because things were closer to the line of scrimmage. They were under that 15-yard mark where, generally growing quarterbacks struggle reading past 15. It's just not comfortable to, say, I want to stay in the pocket. But he did it at points and times in the game. So I'm more than excited and ready to see his continual growth. As we continue to just, as we get ready to close this show out tonight, man, I want to get your final thoughts on your prediction for this game, meaning game mode, how you see this game possibly going. Worst case scenario, let's do it like this. Worst case scenario, best case scenario. I know, Coach Sean, you don't like to do score predictions, but give me a vibe. And then
Gotcha.
Let's call out offensive MVP, defensive MVP. So, Coach Jay, take it away. You've been quiet for a minute. You so polite and calm, brother. That's that. He ain't no real Yankee, y'all. He a Southerner for real, y'all. But y'all, Coach Jay, take it away, man. Let's talk about it. Worst case scenario, take it away. You're muted. Worst case scenario, you be muted for the second time in the show.
You see what I'm saying? Someone's muting me, man.
Miss Terry, we gonna get Miss Terry in here.
Miss
You
Terry,
need to get your act together.
Miss Terry.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. But no, worst case scenario, we lose by a couple scores. I don't see us getting really blown out in this game, but I do think that if we do lose, it will be by a couple scores. And it would be like a 17-31 type of score. Maybe a 26-14 like how Auburn did to us back in 2017. So I could see something like that. Only way I can see something like that happening is if we get dominated in the interior. This is the only possible way I think I see us losing, because I think our receivers are better than their secondary. I think, even though they got some really talented receivers like Evan Stewart and Luz Muhammad, and of course you got a Nye Smith, who's that all-purpose type player who you can line up who's kind of like how A-Chain was with Miami, even though he did play A&M, but you can just use him all over the field in jet sweeps, end arounds. You can use him in the flat routes, whatever you want to use him. I mean, he's a killer, especially in special teams. But no, we got to win up front and win the interior. That's how we actually win this game. So, but yeah, best case scenario, we can blow this team out. I think we got the personnel to beat them. I don't think A&M is going to be afraid of us, and I think that this is going to be a monster fight. But my score prediction, I think Alabama is going to win this game. I'm going to say 24-13. Confident in the score prediction. Last week I was close. I said 34-13. We ended up winning the game 40-17, so I was close. But I'm gonna say 24-13. I think we dominate in the trenches. I think offensively, second half, I think we start to get a push. I think it's a slow game, very slow game. It might be like a 10-3 game. But I think as we start to get the feel of each other, I think the second half, I think because we've been in more dogfights and more battles, and because we've been battle tested, I think a little bit more, we're going to find a way to get out of it. And I think that overall wise, we'll find our rhythm. Jalen Miro, I think, will outplay Max Johnson here in the second half, using his legs and, of course, using, again, just the composure overall wise. Plus, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't trust Bobby Petrino. Somehow, some way, I think somehow, in some way, Jimbo Fisher is going to mess this thing up. I don't know why. Something's telling me he's going to mess this thing up because he wants to be Bama probably more than almost any other offensive coordinator. He does not like losing to Coach Saban, so he might see some unselfishness with him and Bobby Petrino when it comes to play calling. But I think Alabama's going to win this game 24-13.
Coach Sean, take it away. Worst case scenario, best case scenario, game prediction, and we'll come back around for the MVPs on the last thing.
Best case scenario, we have a back over 100 yards and we win this football game. Jalen Miro don't have no turnovers. We have a good offensive game plan. We come out and be sound, efficient. Best case scenario, we win the football game based off our ground game, our ground and pound, murder ball, whatever you want to call it. Worst case scenario, we turn the ball over. We play tight. We play conservative. We get behind and we're fighting from behind, sort of like the Texas game. I feel like we're going to come out and play well. You know, I rest on the laurels that maybe it's Tommy Rees that was saving. You know, offensive coordinators are known to save things. They won't show a lot. And maybe that was it. I'm hoping that was it. I'm hoping we come out and Jalen is just as efficient as he was in the game Saturday. It's just I want to score touchdowns instead of field goals. I don't want to see our punter take the field. You know, I know he will, but in the perfect world, as an offensive guy, you don't ever want to see your punter come out. I want to score touchdowns and let that be that. Shout out to Eric D, by the way. Facts, brother. So, you know, for me, man, I just want us to come out and have one of our best offensive days. I want to come out and everybody do their job. I hope we feature Jermaine Burton. I hope he's not injured to the fact where he can't produce. I think we can get Jermaine Burton deep on some routes in this game because these guys are going to take some chances on defense. They're going to take some chances on defense. Their secondary is kind of shaky. They have a very good front seven, but I do believe we can exploit them on the back end. I think Jalen is in his element when he can throw the ball deep. I think we'll have some opportunities this game. Isaiah Bonds, Jermaine Burton, these guys, Amari Black, they're going to have some opportunities in this game. We just got to capitalize off of them. I think we'll win this game. We play our game. I think we'll win this game by 10 points, maybe 10, 13 points at the most, hopefully. And but I do agree with Coach Jay. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a hard-fought defensive game. And I think we'll come out on top if we keep our composure on the road in a very hostile environment and the guys come to play. I got faith in them, and I think we win by maybe 13 points.
Awesome take. I'm gonna jump right into mine. Worst case scenario is we come out, our run game struggles. We try to overimpose the interior run game instead of, you know, moving on to the extended run game, pre-snap motion. We get too vanilla too early and just evade the process of how we did against Mississippi State, which we relied on our game plan. And one thing I am glad to see that our initial game plan is effective. The last 6 quarters, the last 2 games, Ole Miss game, it was effective too. Just a few miscues early in that game. We saw them get cleaned up, you know, in the second quarter, more so the second half, but definitely we started seeing them get cleaned up. One thing that gives me confidence about us not going into a worst case scenario is just the type of adjustments were being made last game by both the staff and the players on the field. And I think everybody kind of understands and saw by Saban's reaction the importance of every single snap in every single game for the rest of this season if they want to achieve their goals. And best case scenario is, which is I think we come out and the best case scenario happens for Alabama this week, based off of how we ended the game last week against Mississippi State, and just the vibe and the swagger that I see that Coach Saban has coming in and out of these interviews. When it comes to the evaluation of these players, he's consistently, you know, having to change the narrative because things that he's complaining about the week before, we're seeing the change minus the, you know, the snaps with Seth McLaughlin and that improving, which did clean up, like you said, Coach Jay, in the second half, but I want it to be clean the whole game. There's no reason for your snaps to not be cleaned up at this point of the season. We're going into game 6. We're in second game of conference play. It's time to clean that part of the game up. So best case scenario, I don't think their offense, they present challenges personnel. I don't think they present challenges personnel wise, but if we make mistakes, they will capitalize. And just based off our defense, how they're playing, I don't think they'll capitalize big. We gave up big plays against Mississippi State, Ole Miss, but they didn't hurt us to the point where we were down, 2-3 possessions ever. We were never in threat of losing this Mississippi State game. So I'm really trusting in this defense and the play style call that Kevin Steele is implementing. Even with the way he's dialing up these blitzes, I talked about this on another show, guys. We were complaining about how the lack of pressure that this team was getting early in the season, but I see the placement of blitz calls being a lot more aggressive. We saw that one blitz, one of the corner blitzes got exposed, but it didn't amount to anything. They ended up missing a field goal on that drive, so I can appreciate that. And then you go to the play where Campbell and Campbell and Lawson blew up the wrong hole. It is like they committed to an assignment, like you were talking about earlier, Sean. They committed to an assignment, and because they committed to assignment, their safety, Caleb Downs, was able to recover for them because they didn't half step doing it. So when you have a defense that's doing that, flying around, they're making mistakes, big mistakes, but they're not giving up big results. I'm very appreciative of that, and that plays into the rhythm of how this defense's identity continues to be established. So, best case scenario, this team comes out, it's firing on all cylinders. They challenged Jalen Milroe early. He hits a few quick ones in the crossers because I saw a lot of mesh concept this past game. The last 2 games, I'm seeing it. If he could just understand he don't have to hold the ball that long and just throw the guys open in their windows when you having those man reads on those meshes, leading them in stride, he could see those small 7-8 yard routes turn into 30, 40, 50, big plays. So I'm liking our chances. I'm liking the game plan coming into it. I don't think we see a lot of 12 personnel this game, guys, because I feel like A&M is used to seeing that, fall. They run a lot of 12 personnel. Bob Petrino, from what I've seen, they scheme it up a lot. They give mixed looks like we do, splitting the tight end, bringing them into the H, doubling up tight end, shifting both tight ends at the same time. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I just don't see them being able to challenge our defense enough to put us in a bind defensively. So scoring prediction, I'm going with Alabama 38, Texas A&M. I don't think Max Johnson performs like he did against Auburn. I don't believe in Auburn. I don't believe in Arkansas. I don't believe that their defense, just two inconsistent defenses that show flashes of being dominant and giving this offense fits, especially on the interior run game. So, and that's where we are starting to thrive at. So I see a score 38-13, 38-17. But it's not as close as the score gives it. I see it being another controlling the ball game. With a few more pass attempts, they might not be as explosive, but we will see, 20 to 24 pass attempts this game from Tommy Reese, Jalen Milroe, and this offense. Now, as we shut this thing down, y'all, because we've been having this show going. You guys are keeping us going by a lot of things you're saying in the comments. We've already done our scoring predictions. Offensive MVP, quick hip fire, shotgun style. Coach Sean, offensive MVP versus A&M. Shoot.
Offensive MVP would be my boy Jermaine Burton.
Give me some stats.
I say 5 catches, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns.
I swear I'm about to text you my notepad. I said Jermaine Burton was going to go for at least 2 tuds, and he wasn't going to need a lot of catches to do it. Coach Jay, offensive MVP.
Jace McKellen, let's say 24 carries, 122 yards, and
that's what's
no
up.
tuds.
Yeah.
No tuds.
Me too. I don't see a rushing. I don't see a rushing tug from my running backs this game. I see them causing big plays in the open field and allowing Jalen Milroe to expose them on the play action pass closer to the red zone, not in the red zone, but closer. So when he's throwing that ball, it's in the end zone. Not leading them into the end zone. Put him right at the end zone, whether it's at the line or in the back of the end zone. I see those opportunities because his corner ball and his timing with it, with those receivers. And I mean, I've seen him hit Hale, Knee Black, Bonds, Burton. He hit Brooks on the corner. No, it wasn't Brooks. Benson. He hit Benson on a corner route once this season. He's comfortable with throwing that pass. And sometimes too comfortable to a point. Too comfortable to where he forced it against was that Ole Miss. He forced that high-low read, which was basically a corner route in the back of the end zone. So I would love to see that. Offensive MVP for me, I'm going to go with, dang, I don't know. I had one, but I don't know. Y'all went skills position. So let me go O-line. I think Seth McLaughlin rebounds this week. I think Seth, I don't know if y'all noticed, and this is not on no statistical, evaluation point. This is on some juju type stuff. Everything that's been being highlighted every week in the media that Saban has given attention to has been corrected on the field the very next game. Go back and look at everything. Just look at a few things that Bama Universe was complaining about early, and look at how things have changed every time Coach Saban comes out and directly addresses these things with the media and how they change on the field. So he said, he and Jalen Milroe said something about the snaps. They were asked about it, and they addressed it. Jalen Milroe took full accountability for it. Very great qualities you like to see of a leader. Defensive MVP, Coach J, shoot.
Oh, geez. I'm going to go with Caleb Downs. We'll go with Caleb Downs here. I think he's going to get a pick. I'm going to say 9 tackles. And I'm also going to say, let's get two tackle for loss.
Okay. Coach Sean.
I'm going with Trez Marshall. This team like to throw the ball over the middle. Trez going to be in coverage, and he's going to get his first interception this week too as well.
Okay. And I'm going to go with Terry and Arnold. I feel like they're going to try to put Evan Stewart and Terry and Arnold in matchups.
That's a rematch. I can't wait for that.
I would love to see that. And I think Terry and Arnold is more than equipped this season, more comfortable this season. And the mentality he's playing with, being on the road in that environment, Terry Arnold has been showing up. He showed up against Mississippi State. Look at me slurring over my words. But he showed up against them boys. And he showed up against Ole Miss, showed up against Texas. I believe he had, like you said, Coach J, smart plays. Didn't give up anything bad, nothing. He wasn't horrible. So I think this is a game where he just continues to solidify himself as the better of the corners. Not the best corner on the team, but the better of the corners right now on the field for this University of Alabama team. And with that being said, and those things being thrown out there, Coach Sean, tell the people where they can find you as we close out, and handle the super chat for us, man.
We got a super chat from Crimson Blood 22, $10 super chat. Defensive MVP is Kool-Aid. Crimson Blood, you might be right, man. You might be right. I got to give you that, and we thank you so much for your super chat. Shout out to Al Sanders. He's a member, and Roll Tide back to you, brother.
Yes, sir.
They can find me right here, bro. You guys can find me right here on Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson. And remember my saying, the truth is in the details.
Yes, sir.
We'll find out.
Coach J, tell the people where they can find you at, man.
Yeah, like Coach Sean said, you can find me here Mondays and post game. Again, Twitter, Jant716. And like I said, if you want to see kind of the uncut, the uncensored version of me, follow me at Jant Sports on YouTube.
Factuals, man. And as for me, man, you all know you can find me at Coach Smook on every platform. We're doing big things. I'm kind of the content creator of the group, I guess. So I'm a lot more active, but I'm really trying to bring these guys along. You can find me here every Monday night with my bros here on this show, post-game shows. Anytime Kyle needs me, you can find me. You can also find me for this month, a big announcement. And I don't know, but I'm going to announce it for me. Kyle has a big announcement too. You can find me on Bleacher Report every Monday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the month October, discussing final reactions like we do on this game, giving you similar content. But myself and Around the Table Sports, Ty Hayes, who is another Alabama analyst / fan enthusiast, college football enthusiast. We're on a show together. So yeah, and then also you can find me on the Bama Standard on Tuesdays, and we do our post game thing on some Sundays. So definitely finding me in a lot of places right now. We're being blessed with a lot of opportunities. People, they see something in what we're trying to do here, and we're starting to get those opportunities. We're starting to get that exposure, and a lot of it is thanks to you all in the chat. You all follow us on different channels, different platforms. And yes, man, we definitely appreciate it 100,000%. Shout out to Kyle Henderson for providing the platform once again. We thank all the 198 of you for sitting around and listening to us ramble about this team that we love so much and this game of football that we just appreciate. I think we peaked at like 300 and something at some point tonight. So shouts out to that. You guys are getting the word out, and people are showing up and supporting. With that being said, man, we appreciate you all. We thank you for tuning in. And super chat. We got a nerd. Tim Lover with a $4.99 super chat. He says, "Roll Tide, fellas. Hope everybody gets some." Tim, come on, man. You gotta come on, man. You can't have
shout out Eric D.
Eric D is my guy, man. Eric. Shout out Eric D. Hey, shout out to everybody that comes through all the time. Justin Summerlin, Al Sanders, a member of the channel. Crimson Blood. Ephraim Davis is always in the chat, man. Who else, man? Chief 18 Wheels is in the chat as always, man. Jim McElwain. We got some regulars in here tonight. Skip is in here. Me and Skip be going at it, man. Skip, you gotta have faith, Skip. You know I'm gonna pick at you every time I get a chance, Skip. You gotta have faith, brother. Keep hope alive. We gonna be all right, Skip. We gonna be just fine. But yeah, guys, Mike Coleman, Jarvis, all you guys in the chat, man. We appreciate y'all. And until then, man, roll tide.
Roll Tide.